Have you ever actually stopped to think about how a simple rock, just buried deep in the earth, somehow turns into that sleek smartphone you're probably holding right now? Or how a field of fluffy white plants becomes that favorite jacket in your closet? It feels almost like magic, right? But it's not. It's the absolute powerhouse of our modern world, the secondary sector.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something pretty fascinating. We're demystifying the real engine behind India's economic growth. We're going to look closely at how a nation actually transforms its raw natural potential into tangible global power, literally shifting from ancient craftsmanship all the way to the smart factories of tomorrow.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. First, we'll define the sector, then look at it as an economic driver. Third, the historical roller coaster. Fourth, the modern landscape, followed by roadblocks, and finally we'll wrap up with the future. Let's get to it.
All right, Section 1, defining the secondary sector.
So, just to make sure we're all on the same page, by definition, the secondary sector converts raw materials from the primary sector into finished or semi-finished goods. It does this through manufacturing, processing, and construction. Think of it as literally the bridge between the Earth's natural resources like crops, timber, or minerals, and the polished consumer goods we use every single day.
And this creates a really simple three-step economic life cycle. It all starts with the primary sector extracting the goods, agriculture or mining. Then it flows right into the secondary sector, the factories and construction sites. And finally, it hits the tertiary sector, which provides the services, banking, and retail needed to actually sell those goods. It's a perfect visual of how the secondary sector sits smack in the middle as the great transformer of the whole economy.
Now, this right here perfectly illustrates the concept of value addition. Take a look at the left side. A single kilogram of raw cotton might be worth what? Maybe 100 to 150 rupees. Pretty basic. But run that same cotton through spinning machines, textile mills, and garment factories, and look at the right side. Suddenly you've got branded clothing worth thousands of rupees. That is the true heart of the secondary sector. It proves exactly why processing raw materials is literally the ultimate wealth creator for a nation.
But, it's not just about spinning cotton or building cars. The main components of this sector are actually incredibly vast. So, while manufacturing industries are definitely the biggest piece of the puzzle, the sector also encompasses the massive physical infrastructure of the construction sector. And crucially, it includes the electricity, gas, and water supply needed to keep all those factories running, along with the heavy lifting of mineral processing, like turning raw iron ore into structural steel. The whole shebang.
Moving on to Section 2, why industry drives economies.
At the very core of this growth is a critical concept called structural transformation. Basically, this means moving workers from limited agricultural land into large-scale industrial factories. And this idea is absolutely critical, right? Because agriculture simply cannot provide unlimited employment. Land is finite. So large, capital-intensive factories become the essential next step for absorbing a growing workforce and actually lifting millions of people into steady, predictable livelihoods.
And the ripple effects of that transformation, honestly, they're staggering. We get phenomenal economic growth and massive employment generation. It totally vitalizes the economy by reducing a nation's risky, historical reliance on agriculture. Plus, it drastically increases the export of high-value goods, think pharmaceuticals and electronics. Oh, and let's not forget national security. A robust industrial base means a country can build its own defense equipment. These are the exact levers that allowed nations like Germany and Japan to become the global economic powerhouses they are today.
All right, Section 3, India's industrial roller coaster.
India's industrial evolution really traces a fascinating journey. We start way back with ancient Indian dominance in textiles and shipbuilding. Then, we plunge into the colonial period, where traditional industries faced severe decline and India was basically forced to just supply raw materials. After 1947, we see this post-independence focus on massive state-led heavy industry and steel. And finally, the monumental shift in 1991, where economic liberalization totally birthed the modern industrial boom we see now. It is kind of mind-blowing to think about these ancient triumphs. Ancient Indian craftsmen were literally setting global standards. Highly valued Dhaka muslin and calico textiles were exported all the way to Rome, the Middle East, and Europe. And their metallurgy? Completely unparalleled. Just look at the Delhi iron pillar. It's an absolute marvel of ancient iron technology. On top of that, Indian craftsmen built ships that completely dominated trade routes across the entire Indian Ocean. But fast-forwarding past the struggles of the colonial era and the heavy public sector focus of early independence, we hit a massive turning point, the 1991 reforms.
Liberalization, privatization, and globalization acted as the ultimate catalyst. By reducing government controls and opening the doors to private and foreign investment, these reforms suddenly connected Indian industries directly to the global market. It completely unlocked modern Indian manufacturing, eventually turning the country into a major exporter of autos and IT hardware.
Which brings us to Section 4, the modern manufacturing landscape.
And the numbers really do speak for themselves here. The secondary sector currently accounts for up to 30% of India's total GDP. And on the employment side, it absorbs roughly a quarter of the entire Indian workforce. It's a massive engine that has totally diversified the economy. Though, to be fair, there is still incredible room to grow when you compare it to the manufacturing employment shares of other global giants.
But these aren't just numbers on a page. They come to life in massive, bustling, physical hubs spread all across the country. You've got Surat leading the world in textile and diamond processing. Cities like Pune, Chennai, and Gurugram have completely transformed into massive automotive manufacturing giants, pumping out everything from two-wheelers to electric vehicles. And Tirupur, it stands as an absolute titan of textile exports.
So to accelerate this growth even further, the government has stepped in with some major policies. Programs like Make in India, which launched in 2014, aim to dramatically attract investment and create jobs. But what's really driving the recent momentum is the Production-Linked Incentive, or PLI scheme. This is specifically designed to actively encourage domestic manufacturing in highly strategic sectors. We're talking electronics, solar equipment, and pharmaceuticals. We're also seeing the rise of massive industrial corridors designed to provide world-class, fully connected infrastructure. Okay, Section 5, Roadblocks to Development.
As you might guess, it's not all smooth sailing. There are a few massive hurdles here. First, India's overall manufacturing share of GDP still remains lower than powerhouses like China or Germany. Then, you've got severe infrastructure issues that lead to really high transportation and logistics costs. Add to that a serious technical skill gap. Workers desperately need modern digital and technical training to keep up. And finally, we absolutely can't ignore the environmental impacts. Factories create complex problems, like massive carbon emissions and industrial wastewater, that absolutely have to be solved if this growth is going to be sustainable.
Let's look ahead to Section 6, the future of Indian industry.
So, where is all the capital, innovation, and focus heading next? Well, we are looking right at Industry 4.0. Think smart factories powered entirely by artificial intelligence, robotics, and the Internet of Things. We're also seeing a massive push into electric vehicles and domestic battery manufacturing. Plus, there's the incredibly critical, high-stakes race to manufacture semiconductors locally. And underpinning all of this, green manufacturing. It's a vital shift focusing on renewable energy, recycling, and low-carbon production. It's a real game changer.
When we look back at this epic evolution, the whole trajectory becomes crystal clear. We've gone from past India, which was driven by artisans with manual skills exporting traditional crafts, through present India, relying on industrial workers and large factory machines as a fierce global manufacturing competitor. And we are heading straight toward future India, a landscape of highly skilled workers managing AI automation, aiming to take its rightful place as a global industrial hub.
As we wrap up this explainer, this is really the ultimate question we are left to ponder. Will advanced manufacturing make India the world's next great industrial hub? The historical foundation is clearly there, the modern reforms are in place, and the technological shift, it's happening right now. This is a massive economic transformation, and honestly, how successfully the country develops these advanced, green industries will totally dictate its future growth. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep exploring how the world is built around you.